My name is David Sauvage, and I am an empath. I feel what other people are feeling. Sometimes there are these walls that happen in readings where I feel like there's a kind of no trespassing zone where they don't want to look, and so I'm deflected from it. They don't want to look there. They don't want me to see there. And sometimes I totally honor that and I don't go there. But in Brandy's case, I decided to go there. Hey, Brandy.
Hello, how are you?
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
So Brandy, what I do are readings. And the way I do readings is I allow your energy or your emotions into my body, and then I reflect them back to you through my body.
Okay.
So you're gonna see my body do all sorts of weird, strange, funny things. It's my way of allowing your emotions to be seen by you and felt by me.
I've actually never heard of this before. A friend recommended it, and I said, why not?
Brandy, can I have your hands?
Yes.
Thank you. This moment, I think, feels like you're enjoying yourself. Something feels pleasant and interesting. I'm fully aware that what I'm doing is out there. At the same time, while I'm in it, there's something about it that feels very natural. We often reflect back to people what's going on with them. Hey, this is what I think is happening. I'm doing a really big version of that. So now I'm gonna go beyond this moment into what's been going on with you generally. You have a lot of self-control and a lot of grace and a lot of self-awareness around your presentation. As I say that, a tear is coming into my eye. I think that that's more your tear than mine. I think it's reflective of a loneliness you do feel on the other side of that self-presentation that comes from a sense that if you were just to be au naturel, it wouldn't work.
I don't talk about loneliness at all. And that's so interesting. I don't talk about my friends, my family, even the people I'm really close with. They don't have any idea of how I truly feel. For him to say that, I said, how did you know that? I've never met him before. Like, you don't know anything about me. So, you know, that was just very interesting to me for him to say that. Because that's something that, you know, I've been dealing with actually personally and no one knows about. So, wow.
There's this one area of your life we haven't talked about at all, which is in romantic relationships. And I feel blocked looking at it. I suspect that there's something in you that either doesn't want me to see that or also feels blocked. I see a man in the background. He seems to be patient and loving toward you, and he seems to be solid and gentle and kind and in love with you. And you seem to be reluctant and keeping him away and more interested in having more fun.
When he said something about, oh, you have someone that's in love with you, I was like, oh, wow. It's very interesting that that came up. That's when I said, wow. Probably saw my facial expression like.
Like he feels broad-shouldered, short hair, like a light-skinned black man, lighter-skinned.
Wow. Yeah. Very accurate. Surprisingly accurate. He was right. He was to the T, right with the description of his physical appearance, his race. So I was like, wow.
I think Brandy has gotten used to feeling good based on people validating her. She's an incredible performer. She's got lots of energy. She's beautiful. She's exuberant. And so people really adore her. But that's not as nourishing as being truly loved. Kind of hope she gives this guy a chance.
spontaneous Kundalini awakening in 2012. I was not a spiritual seeker at all. I was in the fashion industry and the corporate world, and I led a very cutthroat, high-paced, fast-paced lifestyle. And I knew nothing about spirituality, absolutely nothing. I did not even know what a chakra was. And somebody came up to me on the street and they said they were intuitively guided to come to me and give me a book. And for some reason, it was one of those moments where I trusted them, where I just sort of was like, okay, I'll listen and hear this person out. And they gave me the book, and I took the book home, and it sat on my end table, and the next day I took it and I decided to read it. And within the first 3 pages, it was like crazy what I experienced. I experienced physical sensations that I had never felt before running through my body. And the room started moving in a psychedelic way, like where it started breathing. It was very bizarre, and it actually felt like I was on psychedelics. That's what my living room looked like at the time. And I was like, wow, this is really strange. What's going on? And I kept reading it because what they were saying on the pages, I was like, wow, this is something really big. So I went to bed that night and I had my first out-of-body dream. That night and after, I had out-of-body dreams pretty much every night. And about 4 days later, I went home to Ohio, where I grew up. I was at my parents' house, and I walked outside, and all of a sudden, it was like huge. I saw God everywhere. I saw God inside of me. I saw God in everything around me. It was like, holy crap, God is here. And I could not believe the enormity of what I was seeing in that moment. So I ran down the street, not really knowing what to do with what I had found, knowing that this, like, pretty soon everybody was going to be seeing what I saw in that moment. And I went home to my mom and I was like, Mom, do you know God is here? And she was like, yeah, I know God is here. And I said, no, I don't think you know it like this. God is really here. And she was like, no, I know God is here. I know God's everywhere. And I said, no, you don't know it the way I'm trying to tell you. God is like here. God is here in a new way that's never been done before. Well, I had my mind blown and I found my heart. And I literally lost my mind and I found my heart. Literally. But I had to actually lose my mind to find my heart. And I experienced oneness. I experienced the divine. I experienced heaven on earth. So in a one-on-one reading, I do channeled writing and I also do empathic work, and I combine the two together to basically gain insight into a person's soul path. And I always say to everybody when I do a reading that every single person that is here has a completely unique DNA, has a completely unique blueprint of their life. And there will never be one, and there never has been one. And it's the same for their path to God in accessing their higher self. What I'm basically doing is guiding the person by tuning into their soul and trying to tell them where their soul is guiding them, or where their soul is nudging them in areas where they may have resistance. So oftentimes in a reading, a person is really resistant to what I'm telling them because it's the thing that they don't want to do, but it's the thing that their soul wants them to do to access their higher self. So a reading with me is really working to access your higher self, and also you'll learn about relationships in your life and what it is. You might have a difficult relationship, and I can help navigate that through tuning in and doing the channeled writing and all that kind of stuff. So that's basically a one-on-one reading.
Welcome, everybody. Tonight, you will have access to two very special intuitives in one unique event. Ali Storm and David Savage, working together once again, will blow your heart wide open with their insight, clarity, and presence. Ali is a channeler. She opens herself up to the spirits of other dimensions who speak through her. She's also a psychic who knows very specific things about you and your purpose here on Earth before you even say a word. David is an empath. He can feel in his body what it's like to be you. He's extremely tapped in all matters of emotional healing. Together, Ali and David will offer answers to questions about your own life or broader questions about the transformation we're all going through right now. Tonight's session will be a Q&A format. While we won't be able to get to every question, we'll get to as many of them as possible. And each question speaks to something in the collective field. You will leave the session feeling more deeply connected to yourself and a higher intelligence that is working through all of us. David Savage is a professional empath, intuitive as well as teacher of empathy and emotional intelligence. He consults with companies to help them integrate EQ into their DNA. David has also created entertaining and culture-shifting experiences around empathy. Last year, he opened the Empathy Pop-Up, a pop-up shop in New York City that offered healing and connection to everyone who walked in. He's best known for doing intuitive readings as performance art in front of others all over the world. He's been featured in Guardian, Vice, NBC News, and other outlets. He has an MBA from UCLA and a background in film and advertising. Currently lives in New York City. Ali Storm. Ali Storm is a modern-day intuitive channel, bringing wisdom. Ali experienced a spontaneous Kundalini awakening in November 2012 and has been since integrating and working with this energy. This energetic process has allowed her to develop all her intuitive senses to be able to support others on the path of awakening. In October 2019, she was asked to commit to delivering a new initiative titled Project One. She was asked to begin dictation, and the energy speaking through her stressed the importance of this work being released to the public in 2020 due to the significant energetic code of 2020 and the juncture humanity would be facing. Today, Ali conducts events nationwide, bringing her energetic gifts as an intuitive and channel to others. Ali currently resides in New York City. So tonight, you're going to have all your answers. Tonight, you're going to have answers to your questions. Please take the time for your questions and use the chat to request. This call is being recorded, and for more intimate or private discussions with Ali or David, please feel free to book a private session with them.
Okay, so Jillian Bowen.
Davis Bowen.
And Jillian being Davis being your maiden name.
Nope.
Oh, okay, that's your middle name?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay, so give me a second. It's funny because there was like, when I first sort of saw you, I felt like you were going to be doing something entrepreneurial, and that's why I said don't say anything else, because I just want to be very clear without hearing any information. So I do feel something entrepreneurial around you, and I'm going to get into that in 1 second. But I also feel like there was like in your family, I feel like your parents were, I don't want to say overachievers. I feel like you were an overachiever when you were younger, or you always had that pressure to overachieve. It feels like there was some sort of like you always had to do the right thing and like be successful and this and that.
And I did, and I was straight A's.
Yeah, I feel that.
But it wasn't because I had to, I just wanted to.
Yeah, I feel that in your essence. Like when I'm tuning into you, I feel your the essence of who you are. You know what I mean? And it's not a bad thing. It's just who you are. So hold on 1 second. Now, the funny thing is you had said that you've been starting this for 10 years, or you've been working on this project for 10 years, but this entrepreneurial thing that I'm feeling around you, hold on 1 second. because I'm kind of feeling it as something a little bit newer, actually. Has there been anything new, a newer project that you've started? Just the 10-year-old project?
Well, no, it's been going on for 10 years, but I started with a new company 2 years ago.
But that's not what you want to be doing.
No, I do. That's my problem is that I want to be successful at this, and I just cannot get myself motivated to take action.
Right.
I,
Okay, you said that when we got on. So this is the thing. So it is going back to that childhood of the straight A always being successful, and that it is going back to that.
okay.
That's why I'm being guided back to that. Is there's something, huh? I'm sorry, I thought I heard something. There's something in that that's playing out here. There's something in your childhood that's playing out in here that's preventing you from taking action. So it's almost to me like what it feels like to me, I could go into the channeling. What it feels like to me is that it's almost like an unconscious rebellious thing that you're doing against what you were before, and it feels like it's happening in process with some kind of awakening that's happening right now, like an actual spiritual awakening. I feel like, yeah, that is what it is. There's like a spiritual awakening happening right now. So
Okay.
you're sitting here saying, well, I can't seem to take action to make this happen, this thing that I want to happen. There's a reason. I'm sorry, I keep hearing my echo. There's a reason why. And I think that reason why is you're unconsciously preventing yourself from making that action because you're trying to almost dismantle that aspect of yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it's hard. It's a detachment from who you know yourself to be, which is this person that is always successful. And so you're sitting there asking yourself, I've always been successful my entire life. I've never had a problem being successful. And now here I am today. I can't make this happen. Why is it not happening? There's a reason it's not happening. The reason it's not happening is because you're actually supposed to take a step back, like take a step back from what you're trying to push forward.
Okay.
And just allow yourself to be comfortable with taking a step back for right now, meaning allow yourself to pause, allow yourself to take a step back, allow yourself to look at the total picture, because right now you're trying to push something forward that you're pushing down a road that your soul is not wanting to take you. Do you understand? And I know it's
I
really
do. So should I just give up on this?
I had this happen to me. Okay. Listen, I would not be sitting here channeling today if I kept pushing for the project that I wanted. I desperately wanted another project to happen, desperately. And somebody had to look at me and say, you need to give up because that's not what you're being called to do. And I had to stop and I just had to surrender into the unknown. And it was very uncomfortable. It was so scary because I was like, but what am I going to do? Who am I? If I don't do this, what am I going to do? I have to do something. Surely enough, with less than a year, I began channeling. And now I found my true, where I'm really, this will happen. When people have spiritual awakenings, they're rerouted. They're rerouted from what they think they're supposed to be doing into what they're truly intended to do, if that makes any sense. So now when I first tuned into you, I did feel that entrepreneurial sense. So I do feel like you're going to be doing something entrepreneurial. I just don't know if this project that you've been working on for 10 years is the right project. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I have another project for the same 12 years and I am successful at it, but I'm not gonna be able to retire. So
Right. No, I got it. No, I
and
know.
I love that other job. I love it.
Mhm.
So
You mean the 10-year one?
no,
The 2
well,
year?
I've been self-employed for like
Yeah.
13 years,
Right.
and the one I wanted to talk about has not been successful. The other one has. However, I'm self-employed. There's no retirement. When I turn, whatever age, I can't
So
physically
the
work
thing,
anymore.
I do feel like what you're going to be doing is entrepreneurial, meaning self-employed. I don't feel,
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know if there was a mix up in that, but I do feel like it's going to be self-employed entrepreneurial. I just don't think that this is it. And I could, does that kind of help a little bit? I know it's
Yeah.
not the answer that you wanted to hear, and I feel bad about that, but I know it's like very hard when we have to let go of what we think we want and begin to surrender ourselves wholeheartedly to something bigger, because then what will happen when you do this process is what you're really intended to do is going to percolate, because you're surrendering it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's a process of awakening, and that's the thing, is you embarked upon this process of awakening and now you're on it. You can't go back. You can't go, so now when you're on the path of awakening, there's a lot of, like David said, there's a lot of falling down and a lot of, ups and downs on this process. So that's going to happen. But I feel really strongly that what you are going to be doing in the long run is going to be very successful. You're going to go full circle back to that. You're just having to go through this experience of feeling what it's like to have something fail, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a hard thing. I know, I get it, because it's your energy wants everything to be successful, but it's like you have to just sort of go through this lesson.
It's so hard. It's so hard to say goodbye.
Yeah, and it's like David said, it's going through a lesson with like acceptance of it, and saying this is okay, this is really actually going to be okay, and it may resurface. That happens. It could totally resurface in a year, but right now I think you need to just sort of step back a little bit. Okay. Sorry.
I feel like adding to
Thank
I have
you.
something to add here.
Yeah, I'd love that.
First, I want to say that I agree with Allie. What she's picking up on, I'm also feeling as well, for whatever that's worth. But I do feel like you might not be quite as far along in the process as Allie might be assuming you are. So what's coming to me is that you're just starting to get this flicker of like, what's going on? Why can't I make this work? And usually you make things work. And what Allie is getting at saying is that this is the beginning of a process of things not working the way you're used to them working.
Okay.
And that's going to be messy. And we're at the beginning here.
Okay.
And the other option, I like options, though I agree that the path of least pain and most joy runs through Allie's suggestion, which is let it go and see what happens. But the path of more pain, but just as much learning, is push really hard. And I think that you'll find as you try really hard that it won't give in. This will be the first time where your effort will just not pay off.
Okay.
And that will be really interesting for you, and frustrating and confusing, and therefore invigorating and full of growth.
Okay.
And you're so you're so wired to get everything right. So God wants to undo that wiring, and he's starting slowly, or she's starting slowly.
They.
Okay. He, she, they, it, the collective unconscious, the cosmic intelligence, the genderless cosmic intelligence wants to unwind your compulsion to get things right.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
It will be okay. Trust me, it's actually a good thing. It's a good thing that this is happening.
But it will not feel okay.
All right.
It will be okay, but it will not feel okay.
Okay. Thanks,
Right.
Jill.
Thanks, guys.
I want to note how different Allie are in terms of our, the way we process other people's discomfort is so different. And that,
No, but because I'm not empathic like you are at
but,
all, but I do like the way you process other people's discomfort.
well, I'll tell you something funny and different about us that's like mirrors. So you'll drop bombs and they'll just be out to sea, like trying to hold on to something, and then you'll give them something to hold on to. And
I don't know. You know what? Because I just let the energy
yeah.
speak through me, so it's less me, I guess. Whereas I don't have that empathic piece.
You do. You bring it out at the end. You're like, you feel
I know.
the
I don't know.
discomfort.
I don't think I do.
You do. You want to make sure that I promise you do. You want to make sure they feel good and comfortable.
Yeah.
It's like you get out in front of things. It's the same thing you felt earlier with me, where like you're like you naturally go, and then you're like, oh, what's it like for David not talking this much? And then you like the empathic side of you rises up.
Well, that's good to know. I don't feel like I have that empathic ability, but it's good. I'm glad that you see that inside of me. So who's next?
Howdy, Vince.
Hey, how you doing there?
Hi, Vince. How are you?
Nice.
Pretty good.
It's nice
Hanging
to
there.
see another man.
Yep, I'm here. This is a little awkward kind of platform. I'm not used to the Zoom kind of thing. Anyway,
That's
my
awesome.
question.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. My question is, I've had one career in life and I've enjoyed it, but I've always felt like a fish out of water in this life. And I started a second career, and I enjoy it. It's okay. It pays the bills, but I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what's next for me. What's best. What's best for growth. I don't know. Do you guys get anything?
Yeah, I'll go a little bit.
Okay.
I have a question back. So Allie's going to rely on intuition, and I'm going to rely on psychology, and it'll all add up. What's something that you really, really, really enjoy doing that comes to mind when I ask that question?
Oh gosh. Honestly, I mean, not much. I mean, really, really like doing. I don't know, being out in nature. I don't know. That's a tough one for me.
Well, your answer being out in nature didn't feel embodied to me. It didn't feel like you really were like, yes, that's me.
Well, it's the only thing that really, I connect with or calm down or.
So what I'm looking for, and what hasn't arisen yet, and maybe Allie will have a vision for you, but what I'm looking for is excitement. And if you're not at a place where you know what really excites you, then what I'm looking for before we get to excitement is curiosity. It's like, what have you gotten really curious about recently?
Well, the whole spiritual kind of world. I was religious for a while, and I kind of got past that, and just the whole spiritual, world connections. That's kind of new, and that's kind of exciting.
So in that way lies your path. And that's not to say that you're going to be, it's not to say you have to be some sort of spiritual teacher at the end of it. It's just that energy. Oh, that's kind of exciting. Then we'll open up the next door and the next door.
Got it.
And I want to invite you to not look at it. The question, here are two questions that will not lead you to the right answer. Question number one that will not lead you to the right answer is, what will pay the bills? Question number two that will not lead you to the right answer is, what's best for society? Both of these questions are answered in the head, and it's not where joy and fulfillment will ultimately be found.
Got it.
So you go curiosity to excitement. And then when you don't know what's after that, that's when we come into trust. I'm following my path because this excites me. And I like where you're at in life because you're starting to play with this. Like, okay, I've kind of figured out how to do things. Now I'm want to figure out something beyond figuring out how to do things.
Got
So
it.
you got to let your little inner boy out to come and play.
Okay. Thanks.
Allie, you got anything? Or do
And
you have
what's
anything
your
to add?
last name? Vince, what's your last name?
Fusco Rossi,
How do you spell that?
Fuscorossi. It's a nice Irish name.
Okay, just give me a second here. Okay, so hold on one second.
Sure.
I don't feel like there's any, so there's a couple things, like, I don't feel like there's any major trauma, like childhood trauma or anything preventing you or blocking you. I don't feel anything really difficult, I should say, that's blocking you. Hold on one second.
I think we're past all that at this point.
Yeah, it feels like it. Did you do a lot of like a lot of healing work?
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just exploration.
yeah. I mean, I don't feel like anything negative from the past or anything like that. But what I would say, okay, well, there's a couple things here. So one is what David is saying is like definitely totally accurate. The thing that I always channel is that there's people that have a passion and there's people that don't have a passion. And when you're somebody that doesn't have a passion, I know what it's like to not have a passion. I've been there before. You always envy the people that do have passion. It's like,
Yeah, I hear you.
why can't I have a passion? Usually it's those people that end up, the ones like you, which is where I was, that end up with the greatest passion. Now, the thing is you haven't found that passion yet, but that's okay. What usually happens, what I've channeled about this exact same thing is that people that don't have passions are typically trying to control things too much. So meaning you're not, and I think that David was saying this something very similar with don't answer the questions, how do I pay the bills? How do I do this? That's trying to control. You cannot find your passion if you're trying to control what the outcome is. It's just impossible because you're cutting yourself off from God, basically. You're cutting yourself off. You cannot get into alignment with what your real passion is until you completely surrender. You have to be willing to walk that path, and then that's when your true passion will unfold. The thing about you, it's interesting. I do feel something around working with, it's funny, there was somebody else earlier that I said this today too, but I do feel you around younger people, like younger kids or something. And it does also feel something, not nature, but outdoor, I don't know if it's sports, but something like that. So I feel something like outdoorsy with kids kind of going in tandem, and it could be older kids, like teenagers, anywhere from like 5 to 22, like that age range, It's kids though, and it's being outdoors with them. So that's what I'm feeling is like something that you might really connect with. And I don't know, but just take that and go with it.
Okay, cool.
Does that help?
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, guys, thanks. Take care.
Makes sense.
Bye.
Howdy, Heather.
Hi there. So I would love a reading of some sort, but my question that I posted was more of a curiosity of, how did you guys find out you were an intuitive? Like, how did that happen? And when did that happen?
David, do you want to go first?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
How's
Oh,
your
wait.
discovery of your own intuitive abilities going, and where are you on
I
that?
knew you would go there. I knew you would. I'm
Okay.
not asking because I feel like I'm intuitive. The only intuitive part that I think I've discovered over like the past 2 years is about myself. Like I've learned how to understand myself a lot more, and like I know exactly where I'm going, and it's almost like I can think something and want it to be, and then it's there. Like it's crazy. So to me, my intuition is more about myself, but I don't feel like I have any intuitive. I don't feel like I do.
So
Have you ever tried? Oh, sorry, David.
okay, so the shift, I want to answer your question about myself in light of
Sure.
where you are for yourself. Um, so you're drawing this hard line between having intuitions about yourself and having intuitions about other people, which is a line designed by your unconscious to keep you feeling safe and small. And my similar line was, I do this kind of intuitive thing for fun, but not for real. And I broke that line by doing it systematically. So I went to Burning Man and did psychic readings on a lark at first, but I ended up doing like 40 or 50 readings, one after another after another. And at that point, I was like, okay, this thing is for real. So if you wanted to get over your um, semi-false humility there, what you could do is practice your intuitive abilities on others with all kinds of disclaimers. You could say, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just having fun. I don't know anything. I expect to get everything wrong. Can I practice? And I think you'll find that you get things right and it'll be fun.
Thank you.
I was actually going to say the exact same thing David was going to say. So I guess that's your answer. I was going to say, have you tried doing it with others? Because you don't know until you have people as your affirmation reflecting it back to you. And it's scary. It's scary. It's like David said, he did 40 readings in front of a ton of people. That's how I was my first time channeling. I think somebody actually ran out the room. I was told later my first time channeling, and I was so scared, so scared. But I did it anyways, and you don't know until you start getting the affirmation back from other people. You don't have a way of knowing. But that's part of the process, because that develops your faith. You got to have faith. If you don't have faith, then you're like dead in the water. You know what I mean? So it's almost like the initiation for being able to do it in a way. So that's what I would say, is definitely practice on other people.
And I want to add one thing that's coming up is this line between like, I know I have something, but is it real? Is actually a way of depriving people of your gifts. And what I've noticed, and even just picking up on being in this call with Allie, or this Zoom with Allie, is that we are different medicines for different people. And it's not really who's got the super amazing intuition, it's who resonates with whom. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be some people that you can do a whole lot of good for once you step into your gifts more fully, that Eckhart Tolle wouldn't be able to help just because you resonate for them.
Right. And I do have a lot of that imposter syndrome, and I teach yoga and I teach meditation, or I do meditation with people. And there's this, I'm not like the other yoga teachers. They're all young and, look totally different than me. So I agree. That's kind of what I kind of started telling myself, is like, but somebody needs you to not look like that and not be like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Thanks for that information.
That's great, David. Thanks.
Thanks, Heather.
Thank you.
Hi, Alice, whenever you're ready.
Hi. Hey, David. Hey, Allie.
Hi.
My question is, I've been going through a really hard time, and I'm wondering what I most need to hear right now.
I can start. What's your full name?
Alice Wang, W-A-N-G.
W-A-N-G?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so couple things. It feels to me like there's okay. So it feels to me like there's a creative aspect of you that wants to come out that's sort of stifled in a way. And it feels like the reason it's stifled was because of how you were raised. It's just these belief systems that are preventing you from allowing that creative spirit to fully be birthed. And I think that what's happening is that because that creative spirit wants to come out and it can't, it's causing you to sort of, it's almost like if you kept a German Shepherd in a cage all day, it would get angry, you know? So that's part of what I feel like is happening is you're becoming stifled because this creative spirit cannot come through, if you know what I mean. Now, there was something, what are your parents' names?
Joe and Mindy.
And they have the same last name? When?
My mom goes by her maiden name, Fu.
And what's your dad has the same last name as you.
Yeah.
There's something that really, hold on one second. There's like I feel like it more from your dad, but not bad. I don't want to say it's anything bad. I just feel like a little fear around consequences in a way. It feels like very risk adverse is what I would say. Very risk adverse, very conservative. And I think that sort of risk adverse conservative person kind of taught you that that's how you have to be in order to succeed in life, whereas that's not who you are. So I think there's a misalignment with how this true creative spirit that wants to come through and this belief system that you have to be risk adverse, if that makes any sense. So hold on one second. Yeah, I definitely feel, so right now it seems like you're sort of like you're in lost land, right? It's like it feels to me like you're not anywhere, like it's sort of just in lost land right now, just kind of like transitioning and not really knowing what's the next step. But I will say, when I said that you have this creative spirit coming through, I'm not going to say it has to do with art itself, but it feels more like not graphic design, but something more in that, something more visual art, if that makes any sense, but not like going and sculpting or singing or writing or anything like that. It's more like visual art, if that makes any sense. And I feel like that's something, I think you don't know what creative form you even want to come through, because it's like David said, I'm going way ahead, when right now you're at the process of just even realizing that there is this creative aspect of you that wants to come out that's being stifled. And it's being stifled because of these certain belief systems that sort of have kept you from being able to actually go out and do something that you would want to do. So I don't even think you're at the place where you even know what form that creativity would take shape in. But from my perspective, from what I'm getting, is that creativity would be something in this like more visual art, if that makes any sense. Does that kind of help a little bit?
That's really interesting, because like the start of this rough time that I've been having was about 2 years ago when I quit my job, and my biggest impulse and the thing I wanted to surrender to was to make art. So I tried, and I ended up like doing much less than I did before when I wasn't trying, because I felt this pressure.
Yeah, I think that probably when you brought your awareness into it, that belief system of that sort of risk adverse belief system started like kind of creeping up in a way. And then that created like this inner tension in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like it probably created this inner tension where it was like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm not going to fail, because you have that risk adverse belief system from, I think it's from your dad. He feels very conservative to me. And so there's that fear in there that you're going to fail. And when you brought your awareness to it, that fear kind of like started to take over, even though you knew you had this creative thing that you wanted to pursue. The belief system that's rooted in fear kind of took over. So now it's just about having awareness of it. David would probably be able to help you with that, actually. It's kind of just having awareness of it and really seeing what's happening. And again, like we've said, sort of surrendering and having faith in that unknown place. Does that kind of help a little bit?
Yeah, I'm curious if David has more to add.
First, I want to just appreciate what Ali says, because I feel similarly. I sense also this tension between this creative self or basic self and this oppressive weight that you're carrying. And one thing I like about you is that you haven't lost touch with yourself. You're holding on to yourself. A lot of people at your level of depression are looking for like a way to sell themselves out or dissociate or check out. And you're not. You're still like, you're right here, and you're not going to be told stuff that doesn't feel true, and you're not going to lie to yourself. And that will lead you home ultimately. And don't give that up. There'll be a lot of pressure to give it up and sell yourself out to do things that seem to make more sense, but that will make you more miserable, just as it has in the past. And the other thing I just feel like saying is validating how hard it is. I mean, I feel how depressed you are and how sad you are and how hard this is. And that's not a sign that anything's wrong with you. It's a sign that something's really right with you. And your soul is on strike. And it's not going to let you do much that doesn't feel deeply aligned.
It's striking against what it's not aligned with.
And it also is striking against any form of force. So that's why if you're like, I'm going to do art because that's inspiring, your soul's going to be like, you're not ready to do art because you're going to put the same pressure on the art that everything else has. And I don't want to do art that way. I want art to be a pure expression of my soul, of myself. So the soul is going to stay striking because it's forcing you at a relatively young age to unpack and release all of this cultural and parental pressure and psychological pressure. And that's, for better or worse, that's the work right now. Like your work, this is what I needed to know when I was suicidal. I needed somebody to tell me, and maybe this will help you, I need somebody to tell me that the work of being depressed and like making peace with my misery was the most important thing I could do. And that it was okay that I was really unhappy, and that was part of my journey. So I want to validate that.
I know we're running low on time, but I wanted to ask if this has anything to do with a painful relationship that I've had.
Well, it comes to me is, the answer to that is yes, if it's coming up for you now, definitely. But the answer is going to lie deeper than the relationship. So the deeper question is, what is it in you that allowed that relationship to become so painful? The problem didn't start at the relationship. The problem entered the relationship.
Wow, I'm kind of blown away now. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. And now we're going to turn it over to Q to wrap us out with the asterisk that I'm down to hang out a little bit longer.
Thank you for taking the time to open your hearts and sharing your deepest questions with the group. If you still got that longing question or feel a calling to a deeper guidance or something more meaningful, perhaps it's time for a one-on-one. Both Ali and David offer one-on-one sessions where they'll take you to a safe place to open up, explore, and discover answers with guidance holding you hand in hand to work through it together. You can learn more about Allie Storm by discovering her new book, Project One. Her latest channeled book is available on Amazon. It's a blueprint for a comprehensive protocol for your healing to release the distortions that you've been exposed to. And for readings, you can book her at alliestorm33.com. David has a new workshop coming up soon, How to Find Joy, a 2-week class. It will be a simple way to find joy. We'll be helping each other find, and by the end of it, you'll be discovering this joy more frequently. You can also book him for one-on-one readings at empath.nyc. And yes, that's a website. You don't need the www. And you don't need the .com. So any final words from David or Allie?
Well, thank you. And if it's cool, can I stay, Q, or do you need to go and do we need to wrap it completely?
No. I invite you guys. Welcome to stay as long as you guys want.
Okay, but thank you for hosting. Thank you to everyone who came on. Special thanks to everyone who didn't come on and just watched in the background or listened. And extra special thanks to those who wanted to come on, didn't come on, and just watched and are now frustrated and hoping maybe you'll get on. I super appreciate your time, and I hope you got something out of watching Allie and me work with others.
Thanks. And I will not be able to stay on too much longer. I can stay on a little bit longer. Yeah, no, I think you guys said it all. I feel thankful for being able to work with you, David. I love working with you.
Likewise.
And I'm so happy that we got to do this. And I just want to share with everybody that David and I were all set to do a retreat in Mexico, right? And we had it like all planned into the works for the end of March. And something made us cancel that retreat. And surely enough, the outbreak hit the US. What was it, like March 18th? Right?
March 12th, the world ended in New York. I remember March 12th.
Exactly. But so it was great to be able to do this with you. I love your approach and I love all that you have to offer. So thank you.
Thank you, Allie. And I love you always going for it. That's always a blast.
It is. So, okay.
Should I just go ahead and continue where we left off then?
Q, somebody's asking how do they get the recording? I guess, is that a question for you, Allie, or for you, Q?
If they're on you guys' email list, we can discuss how you guys would like to distribute or not distribute.
Okay. One of us or both of us will send it to you.
Right.
Do you guys just want to continue in the same format?
Do we? Is there anything else? Is there anything coming up for you, Allie, that you want to do before you leave or hear or play with?
You know, does anybody have a question, not a personal question, but a question about what's happening collectively or just about consciousness in general?
Well, it sounds like you want to talk about it. Oh, somebody's
there. Oh, it's Eric. Eric is, hi.
But Eric might not have a question like that.
Do you have a question like that or no? It's okay if you don't.
I guess it's kind of related to that. Hey, David, I know I've never met you before. So I'm kind of...
Eric, I feel like stopping you, if you don't mind. I'm going to put you on pause for a second.
Go for it.
And I want to make sure before Allie goes that she has a chance to say what is bubbling up for her. So I will ask the question about consciousness. Okay. And then we'll get to Eric. And if you want to hang for Eric, cool. And if not, Eric, I'll take your question.
Okay.
So Allie, what do you feel is going on right now in the collective? Where are we in this story of global transformation that we all feel like we're living? Where are we and what's coming?
You know, I'm really glad that you asked that, David.
My pleasure.
No, it's true though. There is like a lot of questions actually bubbling up inside of me about what's happening. And so this is kind of an opportunity for us to sort of address that together. And it's interesting because, you know, I think about the collective state of the world a lot. And I don't believe it or not, I'm a channel and I channel for other people every day, but I never channel about this. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll take 5 minutes here to kind of see what comes through. Would that be okay?
I think that sounds great, Allie.
Okay, so just give me like a minute here, or one or 2 minutes, and we'll see what is said. Okay.
And then Eric, I promise to take your question. I feel like this is Allie's curtain call.
It's my curtain.
I always love to hear Allie channel, so.
Well, I'm curious what's going to be said, because I haven't done this I haven't channeled about this in a while. So just give me 1 or 2 minutes here. What we want to share with you, what we want you all to understand, each of you that are here tonight, what we want you all to each understand is that you are part of a movement, each of you, for being here, not just for being here, but for having the questions to be here, for having the curiosity to be here, to wonder what is the next step for yourselves. Each of you are part of a significant movement, and that movement right now is a movement of humanity. Now, you all understand, or you're beginning to understand, that there is an awakening happening on the planet. Many of you all understand this by now. But why is that awakening? Why is that awakening looking the way it is? Many of you understand, yes, that we have to go through this process to be able to awaken to who we truly are and to be able to value each other. But the message that wants to come through, the message that you must each understand, is how valuable you are to each other. This is what has to come through, and this is the true lesson. If we had to simplify the lesson for you, it would be simply to tell you how valuable you are to each other, and you don't realize the significance of that. And the reason why is the human experience has been designed in a way where each human being can come and actually know God through one another. Therefore, you actually need each other to evolve or ascend. You cannot do it any other way. You need each other to evolve or ascend. You understand that you are mirrors for each other, but what you don't understand is that mirror is trying to show you the God within yourself. This is what you have to begin to understand. The need for each other, the need for your loved ones, the need for the blood that has come into your life, or the blood that you have incarnated into in this lifetime, is so vital. It is so vital to not just this lifetime, but every lifetime after, meaning your eternal being, who you are in eternity. This is what you have to begin to understand. When you can fully accept each other with all flaws, with all disease, with all pain that you have all suffered, because suffering has been a part of this experience. When you can begin to accept each other beyond that, you will begin to realize how important you are to each other. Now, there are many lessons that you are all embarking upon during this time. There are many lessons to be had, and most of you that are feeling like you understand the lesson are probably right. You're probably right, because that is a lesson that you are learning right now that's evolving you closer to who you truly are, which is a reflection. Humanity is a reflection of God. That's what you are. That's what you are. You are a reflection of God in a physical dimension. You exist in this physical dimension for a reason. And the physical dimension itself is a container, and it's a miraculous container. Despite how you often think it is a dense, terrible place to be, it's actually a wonderful place to be, because it's in this container that you are growing closer to God. You cannot grow closer to God in any other dimension. It's only in this this dimension, that you have this experience to be able to expand. Therefore, while you look at each other and you may say, this seems like a horrible place, the world is going completely downhill, what's actually happening is you all are expanding. You all are expanding. You just have to begin to use each other for that expansion. And that's why you are vital to each other. Okay, I'm gonna come out of it. So yeah, that was a little, so when I channel, I'm like a student sort of in the background, kind of watching the message, but I can't think about it, because if I think about it, it trips me up.
We're still digesting over here, Allie.
Yeah.
Give us a beat.
What?
I think you should give us a beat to digest.
Yeah, a beat.
A beat to digest what you just
Okay,
said.
yeah, you guys can digest. So yeah, it was a lot of information that comes out really fast. And it's a lot of energy that's going through me when it's happening. So it's a process for me as well. But it's funny because the lessons that I get from the channeling are as much for me as for anybody else. You know, I'm learning through this process too about my own life and how to navigate my own personal life, just like everybody here is.
The message that I got from that channel was that we're all learning how much we need each other.
Yeah.
I think that's a really beautiful message for the moment.
I do too. It's really hitting me right now. But definitely important. So thank you. And I'm going to go on that note, and I'll let you do the rest of everything that you want to do. And thank you, everybody. And I will, hopefully you'll all be in touch. So thanks.
Thank you, Allie.
Thank you, Allie.
For that last channel.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
So now we're just down from Ask the Intuitives to Ask the Empath. And I got another 10 or 15 in me. So Eric, you're up.
All right. Well, as someone who is just finally learning to channel this empathic ability, just quit my job, moving to my last week. It's how do I break through this fear that I'm feeling, right? And it's moving into the unknown.
Tell me about the fear.
Well, the fear is that I'm moving away from this, secure job that everyone told me that I was supposed to be doing, and I told myself that I was supposed to be doing, and it's moving into this, well, now I'm doing Reiki and trying to embody this intuition, and there's that doubt, the little voice in my head that's telling me that, either I'm not going to be good enough or it's not going to be able to support myself through it. I don't have a clear vision of what this looks like in terms of a career, and I've always had a clear vision.
Well, I've got two answers for you. The first is just to reassure you that there's nobody who goes out on a path like that with a clear vision of what it's supposed to be. Or if they do have a clear vision, it's only a matter of time before that vision proves to be totally inaccurate. Because when you're tapped into the mystery in your creative and professional work, you don't get to see 2 steps ahead. The 2 steps ahead thing is a corporate phenomenon or a structured phenomenon, but mystery doesn't move like that. So I'm just going to reassure you that there is no knowing. There's just increased comfort with not knowing is the path.
Okay, that really hits home. Yeah, the 2 steps always in the corporate world, I always knew. Yeah.
And then so that's half the answer, is just to give you that nugget to take home with you. And then the other half the answer is going to be more personal to you, which is when you have that fear, what does it feel like?
Tightness in my chest.
And if that fear were a scared little kid, if that fear were part of a scared little kid, how old would that kid be?
7 is coming up. It's to me, it's wanting this approval. It's like, oh, if I go down this path of being a intuitive or empath or channel, it's like I'm not going to get that approval anymore. That's
Right. You
scary.
might not. It's true. The fear is justified. You very well might not get that approval. So the goal is not to try to get that approval. The goal is to try to be with this 7-year-old who's really afraid that he won't get that approval in a way that he needs without giving him that approval. So if you can imagine your little 7-year-old freaking out because he's not going to get approval, what would that 7-year-old need?
Love.
What form? What would the love look like?
I mean, probably for myself. It's like self-love.
So imagine a 7-year-old is freaking out because he's not getting approval. What would you give for that 7-year-old?
I guess telling him that it's going to be okay, or like an assurance, I guess, from that older figure, that adult figure. I kind of like parenting my inner child.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we haven't gotten to the answer to that question yet, but you're asking the right question. Or we're asking the right question is, what does that kid need? And parenting is the right answer. And the form that parenting is going to take is going to be what that kid needs, not what you think that kid should need.
Okay. I'm not sure I know the answer to exactly what it needs. I think I know, right? But
yeah, so it's not really a question to answer right now. We don't have to get to it. It's a question to orient around. So you're like, I'm feeling afraid. I need validation. I'm like a 7-year-old in need of validation. I'm scared. So the question that arises is, what does that child need? And the answer might be to play video games and avoid this conversation right now because it's too intense. The answer might be like, I need a big hug. The answer might be, I need a friend who can reassure me that I'm on the right path. The answer might be, I need a Reiki session. I don't know what the answer is. It's being attuned moment to moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like we're not in a race to bust through fear to live our purpose. I don't like that view, albeit a popular one. We're on an obstacle course to realize that it's okay we're on an obstacle course.
Yeah, I've just been plowing ahead, kind of breaking through barriers, which has been great, but it's also definitely wearing me out a little bit.
So then maybe slow down. We don't have to be our fully expressed self tomorrow. And the stuff in between where we are and where we're going is juicy too. And it's okay to be afraid and move slower.
Yeah, that resonates. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Hi, Susan.
Hi. I want some
Hi.
guidance about what to do about Walter Huber, use my credit cards, and I want to be what's the thing to do?
How do you feel about him using your credit card?
Well, I've learned my lesson. I trusted. I thought he was going to pay me back. And so I take responsibility. And there was a lot of stuff that never should have happened that he did. But yeah.
Well, you didn't answer my question, interestingly. How do you feel about the fact that he used your credit card?
Angry at myself.
Just at yourself?
And at him.
Tell me about the anger you feel toward him.
About myself and him?
No, I want to hear about the anger you feel toward him.
At myself for him? Sorry, I'm not hearing.
I'm sorry, maybe I'm not saying it clearly. I want to hear about the anger you feel toward him.
Oh, that I trusted him. I feel like he lied and said he would pay me back. And just like how his name got put on my bank accounts like that, those kind of lies. I just...
yeah, you sound pissed. Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand why you're pissed. It sounds like this guy ripped you off.
Yeah.
So if you were listening to the anger and the anger alone, what would the anger have you do?
Confront him and ask him for the money.
That sounds like the right move here, Susan.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that does sound like the right thing. Thank you. Thank
It's
you.
okay to be angry at somebody for ripping you off, and it's okay to confront them in an angry way.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Susan.
Hi, Gosia.
Hi, how are you?
What's up, Gozia or Gosha?
It's Gosha.
Gosha. Hi, Gosha.
Yeah, hi, David. Thank you. So I have the situation with my family. My father died earlier this year in March, right as COVID was exploding around the world. He died from Alzheimer's. And essentially, bottom line, my brother, and because of what I believe is his grief, his remorse, his regrets, his way of looking at things essentially persecuted me, and he manipulated my mom as well. I look at it as being crucified by my family for having different belief systems. So they essentially agreed to cancel a visitation, to be able to see my father's body one last time, mainly because they were afraid I was going to do an anti-Catholic ritual on the body. So I'm currently estranged from my mom and my brother. My brother, I really don't care much to have a relationship with, but with my mom, it really hurts because I feel betrayed after everything that I did towards the care of my father and overseeing the situation as well as her well-being. So I've been estranged from my mom for 3 months now. And there really hasn't been much of an effort from her to reach out to find out, am I okay? Why hasn't she heard from me for a while? So I'm just kind of curious, is there a possibility of coming to a place of healing my relationship with my mom, or is it just time for me to have that separation for my own personal growth and just kind of go on with my life, which is really emotionally challenging for me. I kind of have this tug of war happening in my heart around it.
Well, I'm sitting with your question. I'm going to give you the answer that's coming up for me after I tell you something else first.
Okay.
Which is you're describing really intense emotional dynamics in a quite detached, disaffected way. And that's not a critique, that's an observation. And what that says to me is that you haven't processed the pain that you're in around this.
Yeah, I go back and forth. And I feel like I've been doing a lot of work around it. And it's like trying to separate the grief for the loss of my father versus the grief of the unexpected loss of relationship with my mom, which I feel like I've worked really hard to get to a better place, even though we have different belief systems. And I feel like we've gotten to a really good place. And then there's the whole anger at my brother because of the manipulations and the gaslighting that he convinced mom to take his side. So I feel like I go into the process of the pain and the emotions, and then I have to pull back because it's just a little bit too much. I do have to detach myself from it.
So then I feel like you need more support, not from either of these two people, from people that you love and trust, so that you get to process more of it. And it's really okay to process it in chunks like you're doing, like go into it and come out of it. That's totally normal and healthy. I would just add one thought for how you process it, which is you don't have to make sense of it in the processing it. You're trying to disentangle these different strands of pain. They don't need to be disentangled in your mind to be felt in your body. They just all need to be felt and processed.
Okay.
And your mind will come up with a bunch of whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like you'll think one day this is the truth, and the next day that's the truth. So don't get too attached to your mind, but don't short circuit your body's need to process all of this pain and these different levels of grief and anger and uncertainty. So the true answer to your question will be felt once you've processed it all. It's like you're asking a question for a future self. Like, how do I be in relationship to this once I've made peace with all of the feelings around it? And if you ask that question too prematurely, you're jumping over the pain, and that's not healthy.
Okay.
And so that's my answer. And then the answer to your question that's still bubbling up to me, that seems like your soul knows. But if this doesn't feel true, then ignore me. What feels true to you is more important than what I intuit. But what feels true to me is that you are going to need to go through a process of separation from your mom. And that is part of your growth right now. And that is what's arising.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, it's one of my biggest lessons is dealing with impatience. Like I think a certain period of time goes by and I'm okay with that. But then all of a sudden when certain feelings start coming up, it's like, okay, but I'm ready. Come on, let's move on. Let's get to something else. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I think you've got the right answer, and I think you've got the right process. You just need more support and less, and to be a little more okay with not having clarity about everything in the meanwhile.
Yeah. Okay. And
you're in the thick of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you, Gosha.
How you feeling, David?
I'm great. I can keep rolling. How are you doing, Q?
I love this. I could do this all day.
Okay, cool. We'll see how long I can go.
Hi, Ellen. If you, there you go.
Hi.
Hey.
Right, I see a double screen of myself.
Well, you can look at the corner and see me.
David. There. Hi. I've been feeling pushed to evolve in a particular direction, and it feels really scary to go there and confusing because there's this conflict between joy and excitement and just constricting horror, and I feel tied up and incapable of moving in any direction. And I don't know really where else to go with that question, but just how to approach this feeling of I should be going and evolving in this direction, but I'm really afraid. But I also want to go there.
What's the direction?
Exploring femininity and sexuality.
What form is that exploration seeming to want to take?
A more embodied form.
Like what?
Like actually bodies interacting.
I think there's an echo when I talk. Oh wait, it's gone.
Yeah, if Ellen, if you could just lower your volume just a little bit of your sound, it'll fix it.
What I intuit is going on here is that there is trauma here for you So you are being called truly to heal your trauma. That's the real call here. But because of a secondary trauma that has you want to push things hard, you are taking this call to heal your trauma around sexuality as a call to be some sort of fully embodied sex goddess. And that is why you're feeling terror, because you're holding yourself to a standard that the traumatized girl inside cannot meet. So I want to heed the call to explore sexuality. Listen to that as part of your heart's desire and your deepest need. And I want to hold aside any standard at all for what that needs to look like or at what speed it needs to go. So really gentle, really slowly. And like if it's overwhelming to be touched in a certain place at a certain moment, to trust that it's overwhelming and go, that's all I can take right now. And find, if it's with others, find people who really hear that and want to be with you in that sensitivity. And if it's with yourself, then learn to be that way with yourself. Because sexual trauma is a serious and real thing and needs to be treated with gentleness and compassion and care, not ambition and speed.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. Thank you for doing this.
You're so welcome. All right. Thank you. To be continued.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Stacy.
Hey, how are you?
It's all my peeps are showing up at the end.
I was here the whole time. I just didn't get called on.
Good to see you.
How are you?
I'm all right.
Good.
I'm actually good. I'm like in a beautiful new home. Do you know that I moved? Did I tell you? I can't remember what you know or don't know. I moved to Elizaville in upstate New York.
Oh, wow.
Near Hudson. I'm in the middle of nature. You should come visit.
I will when quarantine's over.
You can come visit and sit in the backyard before quarantine's over.
Okay, that's nice. I'll take you out because, I'm in North Carolina. I have to self-quarantine for 14 days.
Oh, no. Okay.
When I come, when the time comes to come back. So I'll definitely take you up on that, though. It sounds really lovely. I guess, I've actually been working with Project One, and I've been, and the meditations and the things that you and I talked about, like I've just been pushing through all of that. And now I'm in a place where I am waiting for, I feel like when I try to see when I try to feel into where I should go or what I should do, I just feel like I'm waiting. Like I'm like in a state of anticipation, and I'm curious. I don't know if you see anything around that or what you feel as someone who saw my energy a year ago and then 3 or 4 months ago. And then now, I'm just curious what you're.
I see progress and more space and lightness and openness. And then I also see frustration that you're waiting around.
For sure.
So tell me about that frustration.
I'm trying to balance, there's some things you can't push. Like I was trying to get on a new team at work and some doors started to open, but with quarantine and everything, all of those things got put on hold, so it was a lot of external things. So I'm trying to use that time to work on myself. And I think I'm making a lot of progress. I mean, I still slip back with, I'll fast for 3 days. I did a 7-day fast. And then I slipped back into eating, I ate pizza while we were doing this, while I was watching you guys, So in some ways I feel like I've made 10 steps forward and then I'll take 3 steps back. you know.
That's still 7 steps forward.
I know, but it's, you know, I'm really hard on myself, so it's a lot. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'm like, okay, I'm open, I'm ready, I'm waiting. And I'm waiting for this, you know, the next message to come across the line, and it's not coming in yet.
Well, if I were the message wanting to come in, I wouldn't come in quite yet from the perspective of the message. You're saying I'm open, I'm waiting, I'm ready. But what I'm hearing is I'm impatient, I'm annoyed, where is it?
Right.
So if I'm the message, I'd be like, is she ready? It's kind of like saying, where are you? And I'm a really quiet message. Because Stacy tends to work loud. So I'm going to go really quiet. And maybe I'm right here, but she just needs to get quieter before she can hear me.
Okay, fair enough.
And that's not to disown or reject your frustration. It's actually the step in front of you is to fully own and accept your frustration. So instead of skipping the frustration, being like, I'm ready, how about being like, I'm frustrated. Where the hell is it?
Okay.
And then you're where you are. Because when you're ready, it'll be like, oh, okay. Or it'll be like, you'll just be walking around in the park, not caring whether it comes or doesn't. And then it'll come. It's coming. I can feel that. You're not like that. Remember there was a woman who was like very achievement oriented, who was just starting to open up to the possibility that that would go away one day. And you're on the much tail end of that journey, but you're not at the end.
Right. Okay.
So there's this last piece where you're like, oh, okay, I really don't get to hold on to that anymore. Fine.
Do you sense anything in particular that is like with the issues around food and stuff that's really holding me, that I'm still holding on to with that? Because I haven't.
What were you feeling when you ate the pizza?
I don't know. It's like I don't know why I'm so inconsistent with things that I know are good for me. You know, it's like, I'm not saying you have to fast all the time, but you know, I'll eat carnivore for 4 days, but then eat a pizza. You know, it's like, I don't know why I let myself, like, you know what I mean? It's like I clean all of my house and I have one space in my house that's still messy. So there's something inside of myself that I'm holding on to where I don't fully, I can't figure out what the trigger, why I'm doing that piece of it though. Like, why do I let the dishes get piled up and when I know better? And I have nothing but time, because I mean, we're all stuck at home, you know?
I think that would be, I can do that digging.
Oh.
We can find that together, but it would take a while. But in the meanwhile, I'll tell you the question I would start with, and then maybe you'll find it. If you don't, we can find it together another time. But the question I would start with is not what's wrong with me or why am I sabotaging myself. The question is, what need is this meeting? Why is it important for me to keep the dishes dirty? What does eating the pizza give me? And don't look at the dishes and the pizza as a problem. Look at them as solutions. And what are they solving for?
Okay. I'll report back.
Awesome. Good to see you.
Thanks,
I like your
you
Matrix
too.
background.
Oh, thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right. I think I got 2 more in me. Q. So I guess we see Catherine, and I don't see your name, but I see your face.
Tina.
What?
Her name is Tina.
Tina. So Tina and Catherine, and then we'll call it a day.
Are you on Tina?
We're on whoever Q picks.
Yep, go ahead, Tina.
Okay. So I've had a rough couple years, lots of emotion and feelings, and I just want to know when I'm finally going to get through it, and if what's going to happen.
All right, Tina, hold on one second. Q, I changed my mind. I can go a little bit further, but I'm going to need to pee. That's what's blocking me. So Tina, will you wait for me to pee? I'll be back in 1 minute.
I certainly will. Don't take the camera with you.
Okay, I won't. You'll just be staring at my chair. I'm back. Ah. Okay. Tina, can you ask your question again? You're muted.
There.
Yeah.
The last few years have been extremely difficult for me. I want to know when it's going to get better. What do I need to do?
Cry.
I've done plenty of that.
Seems like just looking at you that there's a lot more to do.
I think I'm through it, and then it comes back.
I hear you. When you think you're through it, it feels like a little relief, right?
Definitely.
If you start to see the process not as linear, like I'm getting out of it, but as like a spiral. I gets a little better and then I go down again. And it gets a little better and then I go down again.
Yes.
So it's always getting better. But sometimes you have these dips that are really painful. That makes it feel like it's not getting better. But the dips don't mean it's not getting better. It just means you're going down again. In the same way that the relief doesn't mean it's over. It just means it's getting better on the whole.
I get that.
So you got the right attitude in that you seem to be accepting that things are shitty and crying a lot.
Yeah.
And I promise you, accepting things are shitty when they are and crying a lot is 2/3 of the way toward getting better. And the missing piece that you don't have figured out yet is accepting that you're not in control of the process.
Yeah. And I want to be.
You want to be. So that part's going to still keep feeling crappier than it has to until you realize it's okay to feel bad. It's great to cry and you're not in control. And those principles will take you home at a pace that can't be predicted and won't be linear.
So more ups and downs to come.
The goal is not to get rid of the ups and downs. The goal is to make peace with them.
Okay.
So that you're like, the person who's over ups and downs is waiting to fall into a really dark place.
Oh, yeah. We don't want to go there again.
We don't want to be over ups and downs. We want to be accepting of ups and downs. Life is ups and downs.
True. Okay. I agree.
So we get more and more acceptance of the flow of life. And when we get more and more acceptance of the flow of life, there's more joy, there's more space, there's more connection.
So for me, I think it's just the belief that how can he not love me still? That hurts.
I'm sitting with that for a second and really processing it, and I hear how much that hurts, that thought. I want to see if I can help you with that thought. How can you not love me still? Okay. I'm still thinking about your sentence there.
Okay.
How can he not love me still?
Sometimes I feel like he does by things he says to me, but in the end, he's just like he won't say what he wants to say.
So do you feel like he doesn't love you or he doesn't express his love?
I think that he still has love for me, but because of what he's done, he doesn't feel like he deserves it or that there's no way he could come back.
Do you want him to come back?
I think I do, but then sometimes I think I'm better off without him. But we were married for 31 years. I think things could be better. I know things were not great in the end, but we both grown, or I have.
Doesn't seem like you're clear on what you want.
So the reason I don't know if I want him to come back because I love him or just because I want to be able to have him back. And maybe, to get revenge or whatever.
Could be both.
But I do. I think about him every day. And he knows how I feel. I've told him.
Only thing that's coming up for me is that you're in what you haven't finished the relation. You haven't finished grieving the relationship.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that you won't be able to have another relationship with him. Maybe that's possible. But the form that the relationship took until now seems to be more over than you are letting it be.
I will agree with that statement.
So it's okay to grieve the relationship without saying goodbye to him forever because the future is unknown.
True.
But what you had seems to be over.
I can understand that part. Yes.
So
Okay.
you just got some grieving to do, among other things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was great talking to you, and I hope to talk to you again.
It was a pleasure. Thank you, Tina. Thank you for being so open. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.
Catherine?
Okay. Hi. Thank you. I have a blog I've been doing for about 7 years, and it was a little inspired by always wanting to be out in the world, talking to people, realizing a new forum was needed. So I want to know if you have any ideas for how I should explore how I move forward. There's a part of me that's a little shy, but not. It's like an energetic shyness. Somebody saw that in my field once. And maybe from everything you've said, maybe there's a part of me like the woman who was getting A's back in the day, doing things just right. This is uncharted territory.
So let me get the facts right. You've been doing a blog for 7 years.
Yeah.
And you want to know what to do next?
Yeah, I'd like to take it to a more professional level. It's almost been like journaling out loud and sharing ideas. I have a little time, a little money. I could say, okay, this is priority. And I'm taking some other programs to help me figure out my life purpose. If there's one message or if it's just more about providing a forum. I'm an unofficial commentator on just about anything, trying to go with my gut, but also having taken a lot of trainings that I thought, common sense would help here, maybe over here. Then a mom. And I do have a son who passed away in a strange accident trying to save his friends from drowning, but he drowned 11 years ago. So there's a bit of advocacy. It's like, I might not be talking about all this, except this happened to me in this little town, and it's indicative of a problem that is common to teenagers where they're not supervised, or the parents kind of change the agreements about who's going to maybe watch them or where they're going. So there's
What's been most exciting you?
recently doing all these programs, sitting back and listening and like realizing I'm very similar to a lot of people and I'm a little bit different, but we're each unique, but we're definitely going to an interesting new place here.
So maybe can we put aside for now the need to make something professional while you continue to explore and see what excites you?
Yeah. I'm okay with just saving the blog somehow, because sometimes I feel like it could disappear if something goes awry with so just make a USB of it, or
Maybe that's where you can get some professional help. Somebody probably knows how to back up a blog. And
then
but I like the idea of you putting no pressure. I mean, I always like the idea of people putting less and less pressure on themselves to do what they think they're supposed to do, and instead just seeing what excites them, especially if you've got money and time. That's the best opportunity to follow your...
more time than money. No, but and I actually just went to Hawaii and met with Lori Moore, who's another wonderful psychic person, and had a kind of easy does it retreat there. So, and seeing my family, like living one of those dreams and letting life unfold, and then COVID came along. So everybody caught up with me and the pause and all that.
So the message through here is keep exploring. Don't put pressure on yourself to be professional. Follow your excitement, see what happens.
I'm good at that. No. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks, Catherine.
Hi, Patricia.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice to be here. First time. I am circling the drain, wondering if this is the end of my karmic agreement. And if I'm finally going to be able to begin my life at age 67. I believe, well, I always believe. 1,000 times over, I've believed it's now. And once again, I believe it's now. After 1,000 times being broken and giving up hope. I just got out of another giving up and being the walking dead. So what do you see?
Let's see. What do I see? What do you sense it would be like for you if the time were now? What would now look like? What would you be doing if this karmic agreement were over? What's the ideal for you?
Well, first of all, some grief comes because I feel like I've lost a whole life where I could have developed so much. And then I have to kind of let go of that and begin again. I'm an artist. I could have been a much better artist than I would be now if I started. I have dance in me as well, somehow to create dance in a community. I had a childlike curiosity and an ability to find magic on my path every day, so that there's a lot that I could just begin again with. And also what I've gotten to simply hope for is to just have peace in my body, free of anxiety, free of waking up with physical post-traumatic stress anxiety that takes a whole day to battle and eventually may leave by 4 o'clock and then leaves me so exhausted. And I also think, there's some hormonal stuff, which this is the next venture, finally working with a naturopath. And my hopes are kind of on that right now.
Well, you have a touch of all or nothing thinking. Did you hear me? Did you get that?
Yeah.
So it's like for you, life is really dark and heavy and anxious, or life is light and playful and wonderful. And I don't think that you'll ever be free of some piece of anxiety and heaviness. And I don't think that that's even a goal to aspire to. I think, oh, are you there? You froze.
No,
You're
I'm
there.
here.
Okay. I think that what we're looking for is greater and greater acceptance of some of these negative emotions, which is going to feel really annoying for you.
Yeah.
And so an acceptance of that of being annoyed too. Like we take grief, you're like, grief is going to come up. And you're like, and then I have to get over it. Grief does not want you to get over it. Grief wants you to cry and sob until it gets over you. And you say you've got this anxiety and there's so much you're trying to control. You're trying very much to control your life, how much anxiety you're supposed to have, how much grief you're supposed to have. And then life will be free and you'll be liberated. And that's just not how it works. It's more like you accept more and more of life and then you get more and more good stuff. That's how it works, I think. And then there's something else coming up for me, which is that I want to accept some of your black and white thinking too. I don't just want to change your whole worldview or try to overnight. And the part of it that I want to accept is that there is the possibility of doing deep, radical, intense healing. And so I can totally see you doing plant medicines or psychedelics or intense retreats. And those things won't liberate you forevermore from depression and anxiety, but they will give you full experiences of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So, and you're definitely grounded enough to do it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising to me.
Yeah. I'd give you tons of psychedelics.
Wow. I would have said yeah when I was younger, but I am not so sure now. Because I went through some tough, mescaline LSD trips. So it would make me question, I guess maybe.
Don't do it recreationally.
Oh, no. No, I never did anything recreationally, really. But that's interesting.
And psychedelics are one path. Maybe the naturalist is another. Maybe it doesn't have to be psychedelics. Like there's non-psychoactive plants and potions that are really powerful. Like Kambo is a deep healing cleanse.
Kambo,
non-psychoactive. You won't hallucinate at all, but it really cleanses your whole body.
Okay. Thank you.
So let's hold both those things. Go for the extreme healing that you're called to. I think you can handle it. You seem very grounded to me. I wouldn't be afraid. And if you are afraid, that's okay, but I suggest push through. And then also see if you can accept what comes up. Like if grief comes up, you grieve.
Yeah.
And you know, the lesson in my life, the thing, if I died tomorrow, one of the things I would take with me is the idea that negative experiences are no less valuable than positive ones. And it looks like being an unexpressed artist is miserable and bad, and being an expressed artist is wonderful and good. But from God's perspective, the unexpressed artist has learned just as much as the expressed artist.
Right. But at 67, I just want some good.
There's good in accepting that that which is bad is also good. And I see that's trying to push a rock up a hill, so we'll go back to the psychedelics.
Okay. And COMBO?
KAMBO.
Okay. Any others to look into?
I mean, I really feel like you do well with ayahuasca. I really do. I say that knowingly and thoughtfully.
Yeah. Okay.
Or maybe just a retreat in nature, like with no non-psychoactive. Just get yourself into another state where that childlike wonder has a chance to roam.
Yeah. Okay. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Patricia.
you so much. Nice
Yeah.
to meet you.
You too.
Do you need to do to raise your, to get out of this funk?
Hi, Iris.
Hi. I'm here.
Hi. I'm the one that signed up, but it was a gift from my friend.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yes,
So
but yes, I'm happy to have either one of you talk.
Okay, he is Kevin, and he's right here.
Hi, Kevin.
Hi. My divorce is happening tomorrow, and I got dumped from a separate individual days ago. So I don't know. My grandmother here thinks it's me, but I don't think so. I think it's the quality of the dating pool. It's very hard to date in the middle of a pandemic. What do I need to change, if anything?
What do you want?
Stability. And they could be dumb a little bit. And romance. No one knows anything about romance anymore. It's like they didn't watch Sex in the City, anything. So romance would be nice.
Okay. So you want two deeply contradictory things, and you're pretending they go together.
So romance doesn't go together with which one? Stability.
Really? What you really want is romance. And maybe
Yes.
stability will come out of that.
Yep. It's Iris talking. Yes, that's right. I'm his
No.
friend.
So then what? Do we stick? I'm 25 years old. Do we stick with the apps? Do we have to wait for the pandemic to end? Do we have to start dating New Zealanders so we can, get citizenship over there if this country goes tits up? I mean, what do we do for dating?
There's no objective answer to that, Kevin. The only question that there's
Relationships.
I want to work through what's going on with you and your grandmother. Because I think Iris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you want Kevin in a long-term, meaningful, and stable relationship. Is that correct?
It is, but I'll have to tell you that he didn't tell you. He's really not sure if he's straight or gay. And that's a problem. Plus, he'd like to get married to someone so he can stay
Happy
and here.
and stable and have a reason to stay in a city
But he
like
has-
Key West.
But he has problems with romantic relationships.
Iris, can I see you for a second?
Yeah. I've been isolated, so I don't look as good as I normally do.
Camera's up there. Look
Oh,
up there.
Iris, I think we agree on something really deeply and we disagree on something. So
Okay.
What we agree on is that all he really wants is romance and play and exploration. And he doesn't really want anything too serious right now.
No,
Well,
I want serious.
That's what the thing is. He goes into it thinking that he doesn't want serious, and then he becomes serious. So he's changing the rule in the relationship. He's a wonderful guy. He's very smart. He's very unusual. He's got an imagination you wouldn't believe.
And I'm published.
And he's published. He's a writer, and he's only 25.
So here's what I think, Iris. I think we need to let this guy discover himself more and have
do too,
relationships with men and women, and let things unfold as they unfold, and trust that he's going to have his heart broken and things are going to get messy, and the right person might take another 5 years before they appear.
Oh my God.
I know. I agree, because he needs experience.
Yeah, he's not ready for the big one yet.
No, he's not, but he's in a rush to find him.
Put him back on. Let's see if I can get him over his rush.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We're in a rush because this world is going tits up. I already did one marriage.
No,
Well, the world is going, to use your expression, tits up. To me, that's not a call to find the one person and settle down with them forever. That's a call to find love and connection in whatever form and really appreciate it when it shows up. Where it feels alive in your heart.
It's not in Florida right now.
Then look outside of Florida.
Okay, upstate New York.
Upstate New York is beautiful. I'm here right now.
Oh.
I
So,
think he's flirting with you.
I don't think so. I'm like literally getting a divorce tomorrow morning. So that's it. Our generation just has to wait.
I don't understand your need to put your personal experience in the context of the larger world. I don't think that helps me. I see a guy who's ending a bunch of relationships, exploring his sexuality, looking to have fun and romance, and I see no problem with that.
Okay, Sissy, I don't have any problems.
Well, what comes up is that you want to make it permanent before it's ready.
Right.
Exactly.
So what we want to let go of is this fake permanence that you keep trying to pin down. Just let things get messy and unfold, and you're just a kid.
Yeah, I'm only 25.
Yeah.
So young. I feel so old, though.
He's an old soul.
Who gets divorced at 25?
Somebody who wanted a relationship to be more permanent than it was.
Yeah, she wasn't. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye, Iris. Bye, Kevin.
Bye. Thank you. Don't turn it off.
Now, I'll leave this up to you, David. There's one follow-up question. Otherwise, we're at the end.
Okay, well, if there's one follow-up, let's take it. And then
All right. Crystal, whenever you're ready. Oh, whoops, sorry, I moved the wrong person. Sorry, Crystal, 1 second.
I'm so impressed with the 14 people who have stayed. You guys are champs. It's been like 2.5 hours.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, you can hear me. I'm starting my video back up. I emailed you, but I didn't know if you were going to come back around to us, so this works just as well. But I had a follow-up just from before because it left me feeling some sort of way, and I think that was just, it left me feeling like, do I have some sort of bad aura or negative energy? Because it looked like, to me, it looked like Allie was channeling something, and then the way I interpreted it when she came back was that something bad or negative had come to her and she had just opted not to share. And
I doubt that.
I don't know, it was just the way I interpreted it and it left me feeling very uncomfortable.
What did she say to you?
She didn't really say much of anything. She had kind of bounced back in when you asked her if she wanted to add anything. She was just like, nope, like I'm good, just like moving along. And I don't know, just, it didn't sit well with me and it just left me, you know.
My strong suspicion is that moment had nothing to do with you and was about Allie feeling potentially some kind of time pressure or also she had been doing a lot of talking, and then I did a little bit of talking, and she might have wanted to not talk anymore and make sure. So she might have had something, but not wanted to share, not because it was bad, but because she didn't want to take up more airtime.
Okay.
I find it highly, highly unlikely that she was having something negative about you and held it back. I think that's almost a 0% chance.
Okay. I just wanted to ask because it left me feeling uncomfortable just with the way the conversation had turned toward the end there. And I just wanted to ask. So
Well, I'm
thank
glad
you.
you did. How are you feeling about what I said, honestly?
I mean, I'm not feeling bad about that. I just feel like it's something I have to sit with and digest and think more about. I don't really ever take much of anything just at the surface. That might be one of the negative things about me, is that I just, my shirt right now actually says, "Hold on, let me overthink this." I tend to do that with just about everything. So I'll
That
probably
sounds
do the
great.
same with what you said to me before.
Awesome.
But thank
All
you
right.
again, and I'll see you next week.
Awesome. Good to see you. Okay. Yeah, everyone can come on and say goodbye. That'll be fun. Can I see videos of everyone? That would be so cool. Can we do like a view of everybody? Oh, there
Thank
it
you,
is.
David. That was awesome, and I appreciate all the time that you took. I've gotten a lot of insights from a lot of the responses for other people. Kind of weaving the threads from everyone else as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Gosha. Anthony, you've been on here. That's nice. Zoe, hi.
Hi, David. I met you at an event in San Francisco probably 2 years ago, and I asked you about do you have any suggestion for empath? And at the time, I was just started exploring that ability, and then I really appreciate the advice you gave me at the time. You asked me just go around people and just feel how they feel, although sometimes it's super overwhelming and challenging for me. Thank you. And thank you for this event tonight. I learned a lot.
You're welcome. Thank you, Zoe. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right. Anthony, thanks for hanging out. Should have had you on. You could have taken questions. Next time, poke me. Liz, Chris, Crystal, Gosha. All right, guys. Q, thank you so much for hosting, and see you at something in the future.
Bye, David. Have a good night.
Bye.